For those that are truly awake, they'll know what's presented on the mainstream media that gets 24/7 coverage is part of an overall agenda. And the big one, of course, right now is the whole UFO agenda that's being pushed on the mainstream media, the Pentagon, all the news stories, and so forth. But let's look at the foundation here. Let's go back in time with very famous occultist Aleister Crowley, and let's take a look here at this depiction, drawing from Crowley himself from April 8th, 9th, and 10th from 1904. And according to Crowley, the demon lamb that he channeled stated, "They call us angels and demons today, but tomorrow they will call us something else." And this is the whole part of the alien deceptions. Aliens are nothing more than demons. And they've always been here. There's no deep space, no outer space to come from. They've always been present. These are the fallen ones. And there are many UFOologists that have come to this conclusion. Any amount of research done in this subject, and you will see these so-called aliens are nothing that we're told. And I'm going to play a video clip with many quotes from UFOologists. And many, they're just going to give you partial truth, talking about so-called living on a planet. Obviously, we're not. But nonetheless, a lot of truth as far as these so-called aliens not being from deep space and what they truly are. And these are interdimensional demons. Let's take a look. let's take a look at this old news article regarding the so-called Phoenix Lights in Phoenix, Arizona. What do you see here? This is a pretty unusual so-called spaceship. I mean, if you're an alien aboard this, you're going to walk from here, loop around and come here. It's completely ridiculous. I mean, it's a joke. What does this symbol symbolize? Again, the Masons have their fingerprints all over every single one of these so-called news stories that are nothing more than psyops. Take a look here. What you see here is called the Masonic Square, with the square and the compass. So again, this is all about mockery, putting everything in plain sight, saying we're behind it. And they're laughing at all those that believe in these so-called UFOs and aliens. And don't get me wrong, there can be these possible flying, UFOs, but they're not from outer space. They're nothing more than government crap. Planting the seed in the minds about space with space invaders. And that's what it's all about. Just take a listen to this old commercial back from the 80s about space invaders. Just listen to what this man says. I find this pretty interesting.
Out here we entertain ourselves at home, so we got an Atari video game. There's so many different games to play. We especially like Space Invaders. Zapping those little devils from outer space. It's the whole idea of creatures from outer space is a little far-fetched.
All about the thought of the alien invasion. I'll get into that in a little bit. Just taking a look again at the front cover of Space Invaders. It's called a game program. Basically, it's all about programming the youth. That's what it's all about. Just take a look at some other titles here, like Defender. Again, it's all about an alien invasion. And interesting enough, again, this man calls them little devils from outer space. There are no aliens. Aliens are just demons. So they're making that connection for you as well. As a form of mockery, demon attack as well. Because there are no aliens. I find this interesting. Saw this review. Listen to what this guy says about Space Invaders.
Thinking about what it would really be like if aliens from outer space invaded Earth.
And there you go. That's the whole concept behind it. Just other games based around space. This game called Starship. Of course, again, game program. They even have pigs in space. You have Space Jockey. Now you tell these people who grew up in the 80s about space. They're playing Defender here. Tell them we live on a flat Earth with a dome. After playing games like this, watching movies about space, going to school, and learning all about space science, NASA, of course they're going to believe they've been programmed in every aspect of their lives. Now, the arcade like back in the 80s with Galaga, basically a Space Invaders clone. You have Exevius, the same thing with space, with these UFOs. So again, every aspect of our lives. We continue on to the 90s. Let's take a look at Space Ace. You see the Illuminati pyramid, those behind the scenes, these companies. And I find this interesting as well. It's 14 levels of laser lunacy. And I find that interesting. The fact that those that know about the occult of 33, LL is 33. So again, every aspect. And they're telling you who's behind the scenes, with this programming, with these video games. Again, as I mentioned many times, movies, video games, people let their guard down and don't realize what's taking place. And I find this photo interesting as well with Steven Spielberg with his own Space Invaders. And he knows what this is all about. Talking about fake space, here is an interesting clip played many times in the past in my previous channel with Ronald Reagan talking about a potential for an alien invasion. This is going to be used, I believe, in the future to basically create the New World Order with the fake alien invasion. Take a listen.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
And there you go. Just like I stated, the game Space Invaders, and that's what it's all about. Programming.
Space, the final frontier.
Space
coming.
Fascinating, fascinating, fascinating.